Today is Tuesday, Isru Chag of Shavuot. It's the day right after the holiday of Shavuot. We still have the spirit of the holiday with us. Next Shabbat, we're going to be reading Parashat Naso. And the Shabbat that just passed, we read Parashat Bemidbar. Parashat Bemidbar begins the fourth book of the Torah. In English, in some books, instead of being called Bemidbar, it's called the Book of Numbers. Why is it called the Book of Numbers? It's because the first parasha in this book deals with the census, with taking a number of how many Jews there were traveling in the desert, how many in each tribe. And the beginning of next week's parasha, the coming Shabbat, is going to be starting also with the idea of counting the sons of Bnei Gershon from the family of the Levites, of the Leviim. What is this thing about the census? Of course, we know that in the US there's a census that is taken, I think, once every 10 years. It's important to know how many people live, what's the population, what is the demographics. It's done based on every neighborhood, so that maybe the budgets for each city or each neighborhood is apportioned based on the number of people there. There are certain statistics that are important in terms of community services, in terms of schools being built in the area, etc., etc. The census is taken in a way that is, to some extent, anonymous. It's not so important what's the name of the person, or it's not so important what what his name is. It's like a number, and it's more a numbers game. Yes, there may be some ideas about certain culture, etc., but it's not like about the individual. And who takes the census usually? People who have the time, who not did a regular job. It's not the top executives of companies that you'll see taking the census. Maybe some students, people who have maybe in between jobs, people who are not in terms of the higher echelon, in terms of the society. Because after all, the job is pretty simple. You just fill out a form, and questions are very basic, and the answers are very simple. But the census that is taken in the parasha that we read this past Shabbat is taken by none other than the leaders of Am Yisrael, Moshe and Aaron, and the heads of each and every tribe. In other words, we're talking here about the top leaders of the community, of the people. Moshe Rabbeinu, Adon HaNevi'im, the master of all prophets, and Aaron taking a census. What's so important? Because every fellow Jew is so important. Every name is important. Every person is part of a puzzle, in this giant puzzle of praise to Hashem, of doing Hashem's mission in this world. And every single person is so important that the leader of Am Yisrael had to be there to count them, because if he's not present, if he's not counted, and if he's not part of that big puzzle, then something is missing for all of Am Yisrael. We're all like one unit. To compare it to a Sefer Torah, after all, the word Israel, which is the Jewish people, it's an acronym. Yesh Shishim Ribo Otiyot La Torah. There are 600,000 letters in the Torah. What is 600,000 letters in the Torah? If you count them, there's only 350,000 and some. Well, why 600,000 is counting not just the letters, but also the space in between the letters. Some say it's counting the component letters of each letter, like Aleph has Yud, Yud, and Vav. And if you count them, you come to 600,000. What is that magic number of 600,000? That is the number of Jewish people that came out from Egypt, males from the age of 20 and above. And these are the neshamot, it's representative of the neshamot of the Jewish people. So every letter in the Torah is actually a fellow Jew. And if one letter is missing, or one letter is incomplete, the Sefer Torah is pasul. The Sefer Torah is not valid. And therefore, every Jew needs to be counted as part of the whole. So it was not just a simple census. It's an important, a very important concept. Israel Arevim Zelazeh, every fellow Jew that does a mitzvah, it benefits all of us. We're all like one unit. And there are so many, there's a lot of symbols involved with this. When the Jewish people were camped in the desert, they were organized 4 camps, one in each direction, one on the east, one on the south, west, and north. And then there was a 5th camp in the center. That was the camp of the Mishkan, the Leviim, the Kohanim. So there were 5 camps, so to speak, like the 5 books of the Torah. The middle camp was the camp where the Kohanim and the Mishkan was. What is the middle book in the Torah, Vayikra? It's also called Torat Kohanim. It's the Torah of the Kohanim. Also, the Leviim, Yoru Mishpatecha LeYaakov. The Leviim were responsible for teaching Torah, they were involved with the spiritual. And if you see how many Leviim were counted, 22,000, just like the 22 letters of the Torah. So there's a lot of symbols there associated with the counting of the Jewish people. It's not just a simple census. Every fellow Jew is incredibly important. He merited for the head of the Am Yisrael to count him, to understand his identity, to understand also what his mission is part of the whole. Each of us, each fellow Jew, has a very important mission in this world. Don't underestimate any person. Be respectful of every Jew. And finally, to conclude, be respectful also of yourself. You are like a letter in the Sefer Torah. Don't undersell yourself. Understand the value of each person, including yourself, and every mitzvah that you do, every good deed that you do is so important. You're like a letter in Sefer Torah. Just like in Sefer Torah, every letter is important. Every fellow Jew is extremely important. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen ve'amen.